So since we are exploring the inner universe, it's hard to shift back and forth between people who are virtually here and people who are actually here. And I'm going to start, the distinction is beginning to blur between two different worlds I'm in at the same time. I'm in this universe over here and this universe here. And besides that, we're here to discuss an inner universe. So we've got three universes over here, or maybe there are one. So to explore the inner universe, you have to be there. But you're just coming in off the street, the outer universe. So how do we take ourselves there? Well, it's here, but we need to do something about our perception. So the first thing to do about our perception is we sing a niggun and we put our minds in a different place. Or maybe you've done this before. I want you to take yourself to imagine you're walking through the woods. I know you're in a preschool, but little kids can also imagine you're a little child in the preschool, imagining going through the woods. It's a nice spring day. The rain wasn't long ago, so there are wet leaves on the ground. Starting to become spring, so there's some little early emerging from the ground. Maybe once in a while even a daffodil. Because after the rain and then the sun is shining, so you can smell the pine. Of course, you hear the birds. Once in a while, you get a scatter of some rodent at your feet. And you're walking through and walking through. Hear a stream nearby. You come out into a clearing in the woods. And you see there is a figure. Looks like a man in a tallis, sitting on a log, swaying back and forth. Swaying back and forth, and then once in a while perfectly still. His tallis is over his eyes, so you assume he doesn't see you. Come into the clearing. It's a big blue sky. The sun is shining down on you. And you tiptoe very quietly towards this figure. You want to see what is happening. Who is this? As you get closer, as you approach, you hear a sound every once in a while, until you're close enough that you can sit down on the wet log. One of those wet logs of a tree that fell a long time ago, so there's many little critters living inside. You're sitting on it. And this gentleman in the tallis is sitting next to you, oblivious to you. And then you hear, Ahino, Ahino. At which point you realize, I'm sitting next to the Baal Shem Tov. Oh boy. Should I run away? I'll just stay. So let's sing those two little tenuas, little motifs. Sing with me. Ahino, Ahino, You know, that's the Baal Shem Tov, because whenever the Baal Shem Tov was sitting and meditating, that's the tune he would sing. Very, very simple. Ohino, Ohino, Amam, all of us, all the people who are really here and the people who are virtually here. Ohino, Ohino, Amam. Sing, when you're singing it, imagine you're sitting there, you're sitting next to the Baal Shem Tov. You don't know in what world he's in, what he's seeing. Maybe he's talking to Eliyahu Hanavi right now. Who knows what he sees? And you are resonating with him. So your mind, your soul, your heart is all resonating with him. And you do, Ohino, Ohino, Amam. I'll teach you the next part. Next part goes like this. Oyena na na, oyena na na, oyena na na na, oyena. So sing that with me. Oyena na na, oyena na na, oyena na na. So now do we do the whole? Ohino, Ohino, Amam. Repeat that. Ohino, Ohino, Amam. Ohino, no, no. Ohino, no, no. Ohino, no, no. And you just take it up a little higher. Oh, mama, oh, you know, no, no. Oh, mama, oh, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no, no. I know, you know, no, no. Do that again. Oh, mama, I know, you know, no, no. Oh, mama, I know, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no. I know, no, no, no. I know, no. Then a little higher. Mama, you know, no, no. I know, oh, you know, no, no. Oh, you know, no, no. I know, you know, no, no. I know, no, no, no. I know, you know, no. I know, no, no. You know, no, no. I know, no, no, no. I know, you know, no, no. I know, no, no. I know, you know, no, no. I know, no, no, no. I know, you know, no. So the first thing we need to do is to change our perception. Because the way we see the universe around us is that of a 6-week-old child. By the time we were 6 weeks old, around that, we figured out that we can understand things as a bunch of objects all around us. It's an object. Tail is an object. Walls. What's an object? It's something I can put in my mouth. That's how I determine if it's real. I can put it in my mouth. I can touch it. When one touches another, I can hold it with my hand. And when I put it down somewhere, I turn away and I turn back and it's still there. So it's real. And we live with that the rest of our life because 90% of the time that's okay. A few things that leaves very puzzling, like you've seen the little kids, they sit on their high chair and you give them food, right? What do they do with the food? They take the food, they drop it on the ground, and then they look, and they always look stunned. So they try it again. They try, and it falls. Take this. They love to see this happening. Take your pen, drop it, and it falls. How does that happen? They can't figure it out because why should it fall? Why should one thing go to another? Okay. Nobody was able to really figure it out for a long time. Until somebody said, maybe it's not about this object is doing that. Maybe the whole universe is one big place. And somehow they know that this is big and this is little and this has to, some universal law. So at that point, objects are not working anymore. Why should two objects take a magnet? Well, there's no magnet here. If I had a magnet, I held a magnet here, and that pen would come up to my magnet. What's going on? Okay, so we ignore that until somebody says, well, maybe the universe is not just a bunch of objects. Maybe there's fields of energy. Turn on a light. This light is shining up over there, and I can put on a light over here, and I'm shining this light. How does that happen? I stand over there at the door, and I flick a light switch, and the light objects is not working for us anymore. There's no objects. The light didn't send anything towards that. The light switch doesn't send anything flying towards that and hitting that. Actually, they teach that in school, don't they? They teach you that there's an electrical current and the electrons are going around. And then you go to college and you find out there was a bunch of hogwash. There's no such thing, right? The electrons are going back and forth like this. They're not trying. It's nothing to do with that. It turns out that really this perception we have of the universe as being a bunch of objects is really an illusion. What is there really? There's fields of energy. That's a very, very different universe. Because if the universe is a bunch of objects, then first of all, it's very fragmented. This thing here, this thing there, each one has its properties, its way it works, and they're all a bunch of different things. And they're just there. And you don't have to ask why they're just there. As soon as you start seeing, no, it's energy, it's fields, it's one universe. It's not a bunch of different things. It's one, totally one. They're all working together as one entity. And nothing is there just because it's there. There are no objects. There's only events. No thing that's there. Every time the light is coming from the light switch, it's coming again to the light bulb. It's coming again. And this table, I think there's a table here and there's my hand here. No, there's an energy field. And this is an energy field. And the rules are that these two energy fields cannot merge. So they stop. And you feel a force. It's not a table, it's a force. So if you have still your eyes closed, keep them closed. Otherwise, try this. Close your eyes and now try to visualize the world around you. The room that you're sitting in right now has that energy. Think of yourself as in an energy field. Dispel the notion of objects. See if you can think without objects. Your hands are on a table. It's not an object. There's energy. The energy is continuous energy. There's a lot of energy there. Your hands are energy upon that energy. The sounds you hear, that's obviously energy. The light is energy. The air is also energy. Those molecules are bouncing around like crazy in the air. And the atoms and all this energy, little nodules of energy, points of energy, clouds of energy around the nucleus of an atom. And everything is organized by all these fields of energy, whether we call them electromagnetic fields or quantum fields. All this energy is just emerging into existence at every moment, coming from some place and emerging into existence for a nanosecond and then disappearing over and over again, constantly. Imagine this whole experience as being a lot of energy. Nothing is just here. Everything just appeared and disappears as events. And then you open your eyes, and those blasted objects are back again. You can be a physicist, theoretical physicist for decades, and you still look around and you see those blasted objects again. But you know, but it's not. Yeah, but you can't help perceiving that. Once you were 6 weeks old, you decided for life, this is how I see it. Well, there are people, special, very special people, who don't perceive a world. They look around themselves and they see a oneness. That's the universe they see. They see energy. They look at you or me, they see energy. Not such people. They remove themselves from this world to a certain degree. They're standing like a little bit above it. So they see the world differently than us. That's probably how Moshe Rabbeinu saw the world. Moses. If you were Abraham, that's how you saw the world. Couldn't understand these people. Why do they live this way? Don't they understand? There's nothing here but God. What are you talking about? It's just energy. No. I had to deal with these other people. So now we have this universe. At least we can imagine that there's such a universe of energy, events, and it's one. But there's something missing from it. Something really essential missing from it. We haven't put ourselves into it. We're part of it. But as soon as we do that, everything changes. Because you're stuck. Either there's this universe of energy, and there's me here, I'm observing it, I'm standing out there waving at it, No, I'm part of it. Well, wait, if I'm part of it, I feel like the sore thumb. I'm like the stranger at the party, or it's not a party, it's a machine, and I'm a warm human being. How am I part of this? How do you get around that? They call it existential angst. Right? This universe is just grinding away, doing its thing. It's following the quantum wave form. It's just assigning everything. It's where it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do. Okay, and here I am, a sentient human being who has my own sense of agency. I decide what I want to do and how I feel about things, and how do I fit into this thing? So what do we do? So once again, we again have to restructure, rethink, what is this universe? Maybe it's not energy. Maybe it's not events. maybe what this universe is the same that I'm made of. Maybe it's made of desire, will. Maybe it's made of sentience. Maybe it's made of volition, intent. Everything that I'm seeing around me is a desire, an intent. And in fact, if you take a look in the Tanakh, in the Torah, that's how the world is described. How do you say an object, a thing in Hebrew?
Davar.
A davar. Is a davar a thing? It's a word. It's a word. Ki hu amar vayehi, it says. He spoke and it is. Everything is just a word. What are words? Words are how we express what's going on inside us. And when we speak, the Ramban says speaking, when God says God spoke, it means he desired. And the desire came out into the open as a word. The other way we say in Hebrew an object, we say a chepetz, which means a desire. There's no word for thing, for stuff, for objects. There are words and desires, because that's really the substance of the world. It's not that matter ends up organizing itself. Somehow, dumb matter becomes sentient human beings. No. It's not that matter has sentience. Sentience, consciousness, desire, intent, whatever you're going to call it, expresses itself as a universe around us. And at the very, very core of the universe, which doesn't mean somewhere in some galaxy or some certain location, no, it means within the very core of everything that you see, everything that you touch, everything that you know, is that same essence, which is free desire, an ability to desire whatever, total freedom. Meaning there's absolutely nothing in the universe that must be. The universe doesn't have to be. Nothing has to be. That's what makes it desire. There's a desire that it should be, and therefore it is. There's an intent. And so therefore everything has intent, everything has purpose, and everything is essentially free. Now take a look at the world around you. That's what you see. We decide what we want to do. We look at animals, and animals may not be aware of it, and they may not have the same freedom as a human being, but they make decisions. Right? You see a deer in your backyard one morning, and the deer looks up and smells something, and then decides, I'm getting out of here. It wasn't something caused it to do. You can't say anything caused the deer. The deer decided, I'm getting out of here. The squirrel decides, I'm going to try and that tree. The bird decides, I want to eat those seeds these people put out for me. Everything is deciding. Everything is free. Because at the very core of existence is an absolute freedom that decides what should be and whether anything at all should be. So we know, we call that God, we call it Hashem, we call it Eibishter, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all sorts of names. But that's basically what it is, the essence of each thing, which is absolutely free. Now take a look in the paper I gave you. I've got it on here, so I'm going to get it out over here. You have this one, not the 10th. The 10th Sfirot you can read when you take home, but this other one, Patach Eliyahu. This one. You have that paper? So this Patach Eliyahu is a section from the Zohar, the Tikkun Zohar. And in many Sephardic prayer books, you'll find it there at the beginning. So many say it every morning. In the Chabad Siddur, it's before Mincha on Erev Shabbat, once a week. The Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, said in this one passage of the Zohar are all the fundamentals of Jewish faith and all the basic principles of the received tradition. Received tradition, that's a translation of Kabbalah. And he says, if you don't understand these things, these basics, and you're a thinking person, you could come to some very strange conclusions, and you won't be able to understand how there could be a Torah, what Torah is all about. So it's very fundamental, even though it's written in somewhat esoteric words, but we're going to unfold it and understand it better. And please, if there are any questions as we go through it, so there's few enough people here that you can just yell out and ask. Okay, so it seems that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his holy circle are sitting around, and Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, who arose with his body in a fiery chariot to the heavens, his body became spiritual, his body became like our souls. And so therefore he's the back and forth man coming back and forth from the heavens to earth, giving us new revelations and then going back up to report. He's our inside man up there. So he comes and he reveals these hidden matters. It says, Patach Eliyahu, Eliyahu opened, he began to speak. This is what he said. It says, Master of the worlds, you are he that is one, but not one that is counted. You are he that transcends all transcendence, concealed but beyond all concealments. No thought can possibly grasp you. So he's not speaking to the people there, he's speaking directly to the master of the worlds. And the most interesting thing is he starts off not by saying, you are one. You are he that is one. Atahu. Ant in Aramaic, as the Zohar is written in Aramaic, Ant-hu, which is in Hebrew, Ata-hu. What's the difference between Ata and hu? You and he. What's the difference? If I was speaking to you, right? All of a sudden, he becomes him, right? Speaking to her, to you, she becomes her. When I'm speaking to you, she becomes. So you means you're right here. And him or her is somebody either absent or remote or just not part of this thing between us. So we talk about God in both ways immediately. Ata and who? We call him Ata. Right? The all of our Aveda, all of everything we try to do in life, all of our Jewishness is all about that one word, being able to say you to the master of the universe. If you would think about that, we don't have minds to grasp it. You're doing what? You're saying you to who? This is a fascinating thing. In Hebrew, like in many languages, if you want to speak to a person of respect, a senior, like talking to your parents, you don't say ata. You say atem. You say the plural form. Or you say, like if you're speaking to a respected rabbi, would the rabbi like a cup of tea? You don't say you. It's disrespectful to say you. The most common word in our Siddur most repeated word in the Siddur is ata, you. Who are we saying you to? We're saying you to the one who decided whether there should be a universe or not, whether anything should be. We should just be fictions of his imagination. And we're saying you, like buddy, you know. But then at the same time, we say you are he. Why he? So communicating to us that there's a paradox here. There always has to be a paradox, because otherwise it's something we can understand, something we can fathom. If it's something we can fathom, in what way is it God? He's both here, immanent, and totally transcendent at the same time. In everything that we see, it's you, but it's him, because I don't get it. It's totally beyond me. I can't, because how can I conceive of an existence that's beyond time and space, beyond existence, because he brings everything into existence? I can't. I have nothing, no way to conceive of that. And yet, it's everywhere. Like if you go to see a play on stage, and you ask, I'm looking at all the actors, I'm looking at the backdrops, I'm looking at the plot, I'm following the story. Where's the playwright? Or in a movie, where's the author of this movie in the movie? Where is he? Well, he's everywhere. Well, show me. He is everywhere. You mean the movie is him? No, but everywhere in the movie, it's him there. So that's you and him at the same time. It's right there, hiding in plain sight. Right? He's the ultimate hiding in plain sight. So that's you and he. So right away in the first two words, Antu. God, all this. Wow. You could think about that for the rest of your life. Antu. Atahu. Amazing. Then we say, he's chad, one, but not one. Says lo b'cheshbon. He's not accountable one. No, there's one and then there's two. Like we say in Adon Olam, we say, sing Adon Olam when you're in preschool, everybody got the Adon. V'hu echad ve'ein sheni. He is one, and there's no number two. Nobody's on second. Just him on one. And there is no second, right? So this is also, when we say he's one, well, they teach you when you teach Adon Olam and everything, there's only one God, okay? Could there be another? No, there can only be one God. It's not what it means. Because then the little kid says, so who made God? Well, how do you answer? You got yourself stuck. You painted yourself into a corner over here. Everything was made by God, because everything has to be made, right? You tell the kid, who made the trees? Who made you? Who made your mother? Okay, God made everything. The kid says, so who made God? So you have to explain like this. And that's not what one means. One means, if I say, okay, this is a bottle. It is a something. There's two ways. Is in English means two different things. This is a bottle, or this is running, or this is doing something, or I am sitting here, or the people are there, the people are here. That's one type of is. The other type of is the bottle is. I am. You are. It's a different type of thing. But when we say God is, it doesn't mean that at all. It means something completely different. When I say the bottle is falling from my hand, okay, the bottle is doing something. When I'm saying the bottle is, it's also doing something. It's being a bottle. And not a chair. And not a person, I hope. I'm being a person and not a bottle. I'm being something. When God is, he just is. He's not anything in particular. And therefore, nothing has to create him. If he were being something, then immediately there's time, there's space, and there's something else besides him. But if he's not anything in particular, and anything could be and nothing has to be, then he really is all there is. There isn't anything else. And he's not anything in particular. And anything could be and anything could not be. And what about this whole world we're in? It's a thing that could be or not be. It's not a real thing. Relative to him, it's not a real thing. Relative to him, the whole universe is just something. Could be, doesn't have to be. But God, when we say God, we mean that which absolutely is. Absolutely. So therefore, Ein Sheni, there's no second. And that's what we mean when we say that God doesn't have a body. I mean, nobody's going to think he actually has a physical body, but it means you can't describe like his parameters. He can do this and he can't do that, and or he has this quality and that quality. You can't say anything of that about him, because then he's a particular something. As soon as a particular something, then who made that? There's something there. And there's something else besides him. He's not one. Okay, you know how there was a Frenchman, the one who put the cart before the horse. Descartes, that's it. He wanted to come up with an idea. It's called the first European rationalist. He had to come up with something that he knows is absolutely true. What did he determine is absolutely true? That René Descartes exists. I think, therefore I am. That was... But the Rambam and other philosophers like him were also rationalists. And when they thought, is there something we know to be absolutely true? They said, yes. There's absolute existence. That's not anything in particular. And from that absolute existence, everything else comes. It doesn't have to be. And now, absolute existence. Even that, I mean, we're saying that God is that, but it's not something even that is not what it is. Because anything could be. But that's the absolute. That's what we're talking about over here when we say, Antu chad v'lo b'cheshbon. When we say that God is one, we mean he's absolute. There isn't anything else. For him, there's nothing, because this is not called existence relative to that existence. This is a possible. It's contingent. It doesn't have to be. I don't have to be. Nothing here has to be. This is absolute what is. So that's the oneness, the absolute oneness. Okay. So that is, you are he that he is one, but not one that is counted. That's our first idea. So now we figure out who he is. Now, transcends all transcendence, concealed beyond all concealments, no thought can possibly grasp you. I could go into all that, but I won't go further than that. It just means absolute transcendence, absolute concealment, and there's no thought that can. It's not. He's not an idea. That's why we can't grasp it. He's not an idea, because it's not a particular thing. So I can't grasp it. With emuna is not intellect. Emuna, I don't know how to translate. I don't have a word translate emuna. With emuna, I can grasp it. Emuna means I know who that is. Well, explain it to me. Explaining is for ideas. He's not an idea. You have to have a little piece of him inside you to know what that is. I know who I am. Explain to me who you are. Explain to it. Then you don't have me. You know, when you go into the doctor's office and the receptionist is typing away over there, and she says, "I can't seem to find you on my computer." I said, "Lady, I'm not on your computer. I'm here standing in front of you." Yeah, but I mean, your data. Okay, my data is in the computer. I am here. If you would have all the data there is to know about me on your computer, you wouldn't have me. If you would know what every cell in my body is doing right now, and you would have all that on your computer, you would not have me here, because I am here, right? So when you try to grasp God, You say, well, I have all this information, this is not information. You don't have it. But emunah is a faculty, if you can call that, of us, that's able to resonate with that which just is. And we just know that it is. But it's not in a way of knowing with thoughts. As soon as you try to think about it, it's gone. And therefore we can call him you. Amazing. So now you're going to have a big problem. What's your problem? No, everybody has this problem. I get the question all the time. People write in this question all the time. How am I supposed to relate to a God who's absolutely one and everything comes from him? And I'm like a person who has emotions and feel a character, personality, day-to-day life. Things are changing all the time. Like, does God have a personality? What do you think? Does he? Well, he just said he's Chad. Chad is no person. Imagine having a personality, just one thing. That's it. That's not a personality. What's your personality? Well, I'm just total oneness. I'm sorry. How do I relate to total oneness? I'm supposed to talk to you, right? That's a Jew is constantly talking to God, right? There's not enough salt in the soup, and you don't have enough salt. God, please make the soup salty enough. There's guests coming tonight. God, that's being Jewish, right? So everything we're doing, we're constantly in conversation with them. How do you have a conversation with someone with no personality whatsoever? Just one. You can't do that. How am I supposed to relate? And besides, so how does this whole world come out of absolute one? It should be an absolute one world. It's not. Right? The diversity. So how does that happen? Okay. So this is what's called Sod Eser Spheris. This is the whole point of why we talk about the world of emanation, and that there are Eser Sphirot, 10 Sphirot, which is the next part over here. You are he, Antul again, that brought out 10 adornments, so that they emerged. You emanated these 10, and we call them adornments, tikkunim. We also call them sphirot. Why are they called tikkunim? Tikkunim, a tikkun, see, adornment. A tikkun means when you put on nice clothes and your wife says to you, hey, you look good in that. And you say, well, I always looked good. You just didn't notice before. Yeah, the clothes make you look good. Right? They make you look good. They become you, meaning they're bringing something out about you. Like in My Fair Lady, it brought out in her something that was already there. Not that we created a new person. The Taming of the Shrew, that was same one, right? Okay, so the Eser Sphirot, the 10 Sphirot, are called ornaments, tikkunim, for God. They're bringing out. What are they bringing out? They're revealing you by concealing you. And it says on the next page, you emanated them to direct the worlds, concealed worlds and revealed worlds. Just page, at the bottom it says page 6, but it's page 2 of that handout. And within them, you disguise yourself. It kasiyat, things like covering yourself up from the sons of men, from people, human beings. So we're saying, so this oneness who can decide whatever he wants to decide, decides, I want to have a world. But I want a world that I'm directing. And I'm there present within the world and concealed at the same time. I'll be present through concealment. That's the world. So the first thing, therefore, is to bring out 10 modalities. And he's saying, in this world, I decided, because I can decide whatever I want, right, that there'll be 10 modalities through which everything will be expressed. Right? So my will came before, desire came before all this. But now the desire is that there should be these 10 modalities. We'll get to there'll be wisdom and understanding and so on, these 10 modalities. And this will be the backbone of the world. And therefore, there'll be this line of communication within the world. A way that I'm present and I can be found within it. When people will think wisdom, they'll have a way of relating to me because I will be invested within wisdom. When they see beauty and they feel that sense of beauty, they'll be able to relate to the creator of the universe because the creator of the universe has also invested himself within beauty. What do I mean by invest? That's what I mean by invest. So, like I said, we emerge out of the universe. And we are, in a way, a reflection, God's reflection within the universe. Like you look into a pond and you see your reflection there. In some sort of a way, the human psyche is a reflection of that. Every living thing reflects its creator. Everything that exists in the universe reflects its creator. But the human being is like a sum total. He's like everything brought together. And most amazingly, because we're social beings and we discuss with each other, we're aware of ourselves. So now we have a fantastic tool. We can look inside ourselves, introspection, and through that introspection, we can understand the entire universe. I mean, it's an amazing thing. We use language. This language that we use to discuss with one another, we use it to discover the universe around us. We've made incredible discoveries and make very accurate predictions using human language and mathematics. We could have mathematics. Why do we have mathematics? So we could do business with one another. And then we take this mathematics and apply it to the universe. And, hey, it works. Why is that? How is that? It was Eugene Wigner. He was one of them. Why does mathematics work? It shouldn't work. But it does. Well, human language, the same thing. How is it we're able to talk? Well, why? Because we emerge out of the universe. That's why we're not something foreign to the universe. And therefore, our words also emerge out of the universe. And therefore, we're able to use them to understand it. And everything that we're doing, our whole venture in life, our endeavor of life, is trying to align our words and our thoughts and our actions and everything with those original words that create the universe. And our desires with the original desire that brought the universe into existence. And all our actions and everything, we're trying to align the two so that they resonate with one another. You ever try to have a guitar, play guitar? You have two guitars sitting next to each other. You do this when you play a string and the other guy's string is resonating, vibrating along with it. You know, sometimes you're sitting there on your Shabbos, you're sitting, your hands on a wooden chair, and you hit a certain note and you can feel the wood resonating with that. So that's what we're doing in life. We're trying to get everything lined up and in tune so that our words and everything else about ourselves is lined up with these 10 sfirot that we're talking about here. So in the human experience, this is our experience. We are invested in something, a body. That's how we experience life, right? And everybody, you know, at some point in life, what am I doing inside this body? Is this body me? You know, some people have body dysphoria. Why do I have to have a body after all? I remember one day, went to the doctor said, what's wrong? I said, doctor, you got to get me a different body. This is no good. Can I just buy something off the shelf and replace this one? Because we're not there yet. You know, stem cell research has begun, but we're not there yet. I'm going to have to learn how to be at peace with this body. Okay, so, but we all feel this. I'm invested inside a body. Even before that, I have a mind. I have emotions. Is my mind and my emotions, is that me? Or is it I am invested within these thoughts? Even this ego that I have, I say this I of mine, it keeps on changing. From moment to moment, it's changing. So is it a real I, or it's just something I'm invested in? So this is the notion of a neshama, a breath of God, a soul that's within us. And it's invested within this ego, this self, this mind, these emotions. It's invested within those. But if there would be no emotions and no mind and no desires and no ego, in what way could I know myself? So I only know myself as I am invested within this. About that, it's no knowledge. No knowledge. So in the same way, now you can move from one to the other. Just as you feel yourself invested within this mind, these emotions, this brain, this heart, this head, this torso, these arms, these legs, this body that's inside these clothes, inside this room, in this world at this time. Okay, you didn't have much choice in all that. But the universe can be perceived as God's clothing. And the 10 sfirot of Atzilut, that's like a body, or the mind and emotions. The difference being, like I said, you don't get to choose. God decides, I'm going to invest in this kind of mind, in this kind of emotions, like an actor. Like an actor. I have an uncle, had an uncle, passed away. He was an actor. His name was Sam, Uncle Sam. I said, Uncle Sam, when do you feel like who you really are? Like right now when I'm talking to you, because he was always acting, or when you're on stage acting. He says, of course I'm who. He said, wait a minute. Actually, no. He said, well, and he thought about it for a while and says, actually, you're right. I feel most myself when I'm on the stage acting like somebody else. Mm-hmm. And especially if I'm acting as somebody who's the opposite personality. So that's an actor. An actor gets to choose, who am I going to be right now? God's an actor. He's acting as a universe. First as the 10 sfirot of Atzilut that then become these other worlds that are the clothing, and the whole universe is his clothing. He's putting on an act. And he doesn't have to be any of this. None of it has to be at all. It's no sweat off his back, so to speak, right? Like we said, it's all just a possible existence that doesn't have to be, and therefore it's a nothingness. So that in everything that you're seeing in the world, it's him, but he's disguised within it. And he's revealing himself to us by disguising himself within a universe. Like if somebody ever asks you, this is the other question you get about prayer. How can you talk to a God who never talks back to you? Like you're talking and talking and talking and talking. When do you give him a chance, right? What do you mean doesn't? He's always talking to you. What do you think the universe is? That's him talking to you. But I don't understand what he's saying. You better learn. You better learn. Listen more carefully, thoughtfully. He's disguised within it, but he's revealing himself to you through that disguise. Without the disguise, you would know nothing. Through this disguise, you know everything. Look, it's after 9:00. And so there's got to be some questions over here before we go home. Is everybody just like I lost everybody. What happened? What's going on? So, or people, these are also people. I heard one of them talk once. So it's like somebody's got to have like, Rabbi could explain this to me or something like that. Or does somebody just want to try paraphrasing something that you learned tonight? How about that? Anybody?
How about this, Rabbi? Keter seems removed from the 10 Sphirot, and yet I don't understand if the will generated the 10 emanations, how is will also part of the 10 emanations?
Yeah, Keter is the crown. Sometimes we say it's one of the 10 Sphirot, and then we don't count that. But most of the time we say, no, it's beyond them because it's desire. It's the will for something. And there's a big difference because when you desire something, let's say, okay, let's start with this. Say you had an idea, and then you change your mind about the idea. And then something happens and you say, no, that idea was right to begin with. You go back to the original idea. And it's the same idea that you had before, because it's a well-defined idea. The same thing, you felt a certain emotion, and then you felt different emotions. And then you went back to that same emotion. You say, I'm feeling the same emotion that I felt yesterday. With desire, that doesn't work. I want something, I cease to want it. When I want it again, it's not the same want as before. I'm wanting every moment that I want, I have to want again. Want never becomes a thing of it never takes on a life of its own. Every moment you have to renew it, So therefore it's not one of the 10 Sphirot, because it doesn't have that definition. But everything starts from there. That desire, and it's a willful, deliberate. That's the whole point of saying in the beginning God created heaven and earth, is to say that he didn't have to. It was deliberate. The world didn't just pop into existence because like some super being spilled some chemicals in the lab, or whatever. It wasn't just, it happens, worlds, big bangs happen, what can you do? No, it was, he decided, and which means it doesn't have to be. That's what I said at the beginning, that the core of everything is that it doesn't have to be. That's all about desire, that kind of desire. How about try that? Can somebody sort of paraphrase like one thing that I said tonight? It would make me feel really good.
So God exists, and we know that he has to retract himself in order for us to be here and to experience the universe, but he can't be present in it in a real way, or we couldn't exist.
It's hard to express, like the actor is disguising himself in order to reveal. So he's absolutely present and absolutely disguised at the same time. So we in the Tanakh, in the Torah, there's no word for nature, but it is nature. No word for nature. It doesn't exist. It's the word nature comes from I think a Roman goddess. But at a certain point, like a lot of Jewish philosophers needed to, they translating from Greek and Latin, so needed a word. So which word did they use? They used the word teva. Teva means submerged, like we speak Parsha, the Pharaoh of Rochba, Tuba'u. They were submerged, drowned within the sea. So nature God is submerged. Submerged means he's there, absolutely there, but he's hidden within himself. So when we say that God retracts and removes himself, he's not removing, he's still there, but he's hiding within himself. which good actors can do to a certain degree, but not really.
I love your example of the playwright and the playwright and the director, because their hands on their hand is everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everything is their direction there, but you don't see them. They're not there.
Unless
But they're
still
there.
that's Alfred Hitchcock and he makes a cameo appearance or something like that. Yeah.
Marvel.
You know, God makes cameo appearances. In the book of Exodus, he makes a few cameo appearances. So that can happen. But that's unto you or he. You're here and you're not here. Which one is it? Well, I'm hiding myself. Why do you want to hide it? So that you can see me. That's what it's all about. So through this interaction, this struggle with the world, we're able to relate to him. Okay, so in the coming weeks, what we want to get to is not just learning this, but this is an explanation of why we have mitzvahs, why we learn Torah, why we do the things that we do, in order to line ourselves up and resonate with those 10 sefirot, which is God expressing his oneness. And we want to line up with that. And so we'll explore that in the coming weeks, God willing. Same place, same time, or not place, or wherever you want. But there's people fell asleep already. They got the blankets. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unity.